And we are live. We are live. I'm going to go ahead and share some share around music, Shane, and we'll get it shared around. Feel free to share it around on your platforms too, and then we'll go hot. So dance to the music, boys.
Any better music? Looks like that's crazy. Oh, great. Yeah. Yep. Oh, I don't know. I'd like to find it. That's the only option.
All right, guys, I'm going to roll intro, then we'll get after it, man. Go roll intro. Hello, friends, fans, and faithful followers. Welcome to the ABTA Monday Night Live, coming to you live from my basement in Shane's cabin.
No, not my place. This is Brian's.
The den.
Yeah, it's the living den.
Ryan's cabin. Cool. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, today we are going to talk all about the TRAKR app. Shane, introduce who we have here, buddy.
All right, we got Garrett Crawl down here on the end. He's a genius when it comes to statistical stuff, and so we're going to get into a lot of the data stuff. Ryan's good in that department too. This is Ryan Carpenter. And I'm Jake Simpson. Ryan handles a lot of our data and finances. So I just handle I'm kind of the contact person between networks and trackers, etc.
So Shane, did I hear you say you're the pretty face of the operation and the other two are the brains?
I wouldn't go as far as say pretty, but I'm the face, I guess. You see most often.
That's typically what I do. Is I say I'm the pretty face because I don't have much more to offer than that, as you can tell, right?
And all of us are friends. We've known each other for a few years now. Actually, Ryan and I met from doing a podcast about data before the app.
Yeah, that's like 6 years ago.
Yeah, and personal data. But me and Garrett and I have known each other for many years. But we all live within 20 to 30 minutes of each other up here in Minnesota. So
yeah, and Shane and Ryan, you guys are veterans of the show. Shane, this is, I think, at least your third appearance. I think you did before I was hosting them.
Yeah, Ryan on with us.
Yep.
And then Ryan and Garrett, this is your hard to hear the TRAKR crew. Do you guys? Thanks, Jared. Do you guys have mics or something, or a way to maybe improve that audio from you guys? You are a little harder to.
I can move the laptop closer. That's where the audio. Let me. It might be coming from this guy. I'm gonna have to pop my camera on here. Or my glasses on here. And let me check what mic options we got. All right, how's that for volume?
I think that's a little better, Jared. Is that a little better?
I switched it to that camera
Closer.
Yeah. It was coming from the laptop's mic. Now I've switched.
Yeah, that actually is better.
Okay. Good. We'll try to talk loud as well, so you can hear us.
Yeah, Jared just said that's better too. So the other folks can hear it. So that is better. Yeah, cool. So we could be a really info packed show tonight, because I know you guys have been doing a lot of work, for what's next with the app in terms of updates and new features. And Shane, we spent a fair amount of time talking about it on the phone, and boy, you had my interest on some of the stuff that you were doing. Just sounds super neat. And I have, 20 or so slides worth of data that has been extracted from the app that we want to spend some time talking about. So, we're going to, and I'll turn it over to you guys, and then I'll play the role of the pretty face. Sorry, Shane. But, and then you guys can just kind of walk through it, because I'm telling you, and I'm looking at my other monitor here, there is some super neat stuff, and where TRAKR is going in terms of features and benefits is right on cue for where we're going as in terms of technology, just as a society. And everything is becoming more tech and data driven these days. And you guys are keeping right up with that and keeping current with that, with the features you want to add. And I'm super stoked to hear more about it. And then the data, my word, the data. If you're a data nerd, this is one you're going to want to listen to or tune into, because you can really do some slicing and dicing here. And you guys have done that, and you broke it down really nicely, and we'll share some of that. So.
Yeah, that's just the tip of the iceberg. We haven't even had a chance to really dive deep into it. It's just something that Garrett put together with what he had available in the short amount of time we had. We just got a lot of this recently.
Yeah, a lot of those slides that just breaks out more questions and then you just want to dive deeper into it and try to figure it out.
Yeah. Isn't that what data does, though?
What's that?
Isn't that what data does? You find something interesting, and it causes more questions, and you dive into it, and you just keep drilling down. It's super good stuff, man. So, look, don't let me get in your way. Why don't you guys go ahead, and we'll grab questions and stuff. So, listeners, fire away with your questions as they pop in. We'll be sure to get to them. But I'm going to get out of here.
We'll start with some of the updates right now. Some of the stuff is out, and then a couple of things that are coming up. One of the things that's out right now is if you update your app or you haven't been on it lately, is the service regions for the trackers, where before you had to wherever you were standing, you set a bubble around you. Now you can manually move that bubble to a predetermined location, or you can turn on auto update. And so that bubble, if you set it for 50 miles or 150 or 300 miles, that bubble will follow along with you.
Oh, okay.
That feature is available now.
That update, that'll continue to update as you're in the app, right? It's just a continuous.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like with any app, a weather app or anything like that. The bubble moves when you like turn the screen on again or open the app again.
Yeah.
iOS or Apple doesn't want us having it where it updates in the background, because then it drains your battery. So and like I said, all apps work like that. Onyx, weather apps, you know how it shows you in one location, and then when you open it up again, then your dot slams to the new spot. So that's what it'll do.
Yeah. I just opened my app right now and want to see. So I'm just following it along. So go ahead, man.
Yeah.
What's the other ones that are out?
So the one we had out, I think it's been a few months now, is the basically recovery predictor. So we don't necessarily, for hunters, we don't want to put a percentage, on it. So we just give a low, medium, or high odds of recovery, but it looks at a handful of different parameters. And then it's going to spit out a low, medium, or high for the hunter. On the tracker side, they'll see the same thing, but they're actually going to see a percentage. And then they're going to also be able to toggle between that and based on your current recovery rate within the app, it will factor that in and tailor it towards that specific track. So you'll have a couple different ways to look at it. In some cases, you might have a higher recovery than what's estimated just based on your history. Yep. And it might be lower, just maybe it's due to shot location or conditions or something.
Yeah. So let me clarify so everyone understands. That is the request box. So when a hunter, if you want to see this in personal app, have someone log into a hunter account and submit a test request, and make sure you put test in there for the reason for a tracker so we can delete it later. Yeah. You'll see that request box in your profile or on the jobs or request thing, and it has the weapon and it has the predictor of odds of recovery, and then for the system-wide data, and then your personal tracking data. If you've taken tracks on the app, it'll compare that too. But then also the suggestions of wait times and stuff is in there too, that trackers can vote on if you want.
Right. And something we ended up throwing in, and we didn't really think of it until I don't know if it was your idea or what, Shane. We had a voting side of it, so you can actually, all the trackers, you don't have to take the track, you can see that it's been pushed through and they're requesting a track. That tracker can look at it, review the details, and say, I'm gonna vote yes or no on if it's going to be recovered or not. And after you go through 20 or 30, 50 different trackers, it will start to average out where the trackers think it's going to be. So now you have something that's based on the app and what it predicts, one based on the app and how your record is, and then now just everybody looking at it and trying to predict.
Yeah, so it's giving instant feedback to the hunter saying, hey, there's 10 trackers that voted, say you need to wait at least 12 hours before you track this deer.
Yep.
And then there's disclaimers too, saying these recovery odds is with a tracking team. Your odds of doing it on your own are going to go much lower. So we don't encourage you tracking on your own if you're to the point of contacting a tracker. But that just gives even trackers not taking the track can give feedback to the hunter, like you need to wait this amount of time, and that sort of thing. And then the recovery is more or less for us to see, like just kind of a fun thing. Like they're saying that they think it's recoverable or they don't, and they go out there and recover.
Right. Yeah. The hunter will only see a low, medium, or high because said we don't want to discourage or encourage them to go after something. So the only thing that will come through that is through the voting is the suggested wait time, and that's super valuable. You get, and it will tell you how many trackers voted. So it might say 20 something, trackers.
They got a buddy in their ear saying, "Let's go track it, man. Let's go track it."
Yeah, 20 professionals are saying not to do that. So
yeah.
Super important. Let's see. The other one we added was rating the hunter.
So the most trackers have that do not track list in their phone.
Yeah.
And that was a feature we were going to add on the app so other trackers could see, you could share it. We got to thinking about that. There's sometimes with hunters, they were a pleasure to work with, for whatever reason. And you would love to go track for them again. So we made it a ratings system. So if you have a bad experience with a hunter, maybe they were trespassing or they were drunk or did something that puts them on your do not track list, you can put that on their profile after you track for them. And the hunters won't see that. It'll only be for other trackers. So if they submit a track later in the future and it pops up and say, I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, Matt tracked for this guy last month and he was just terrible, whatever the reason. And I'm like, well, I'm not taking that track. So it's a way to share. But on the other hand, you may have given them 5 stars and said they were a delight to work for. They marked last blood. They backed out. They knew they did everything right, and it made our job a lot easier. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is cool. So it's a feedback between trackers about experience. So you can
you've had that so the hunters could rate the trackers, right? Has that been a feature?
That's been a feature from the get go, so they could trackers could. Hunters could look at the trackers and get their ratings and review, but the trackers can see that. And we've had an issue where somebody reported a review from a hunter that wasn't accurate, and I investigated and I found it to be the tracker was correct what he was saying, and so we had to remove it. So if you're worried about ratings and reviews, if it's a legit review, then you need to look back at yourself. If it's a poor review. But if it's, you don't have to worry about fake reviews. Only hunters that you track for can review you. And if they give you a fake review or something that didn't actually happen, we can take a look at it and remove it. So it's not something to worry about. But as far as the hunter side of things, the reason we didn't want to show them their reviews is if they see they got some bad ones because of their behavior, then they'll just delete their account and create a new one. If they don't know what's there, they'll just keep the same account. And we'll be able to track their phone number and everything like that anyway. To if they create another account anyway, it'll be tied.
It'll be flagged in the way.
Yeah, it'll be flagged the same phone number. We're not looking at saving the phone number. It'll flag it. But next,
we've done. Just looking at, we have various other small stuff we've done, improving just the mapping pins, different time delays and stuff like that. We've done a lot of small stuff, but we have 2 big ones. I don't know if we want to discuss.
We can discuss those. Those definitely coming out before the end of the season. Before the season starts. Right?
Yep. Right when it does start. So
you want to talk about the 3D deer? We're replacing it on the request form.
Yeah, anybody that's used the app and has seen that 3D or that 2D deer with the grid, then you got to choose the angle of draws the 9-quarter. So we've always known from the start that that's not what we wanted it to be. We wanted it always to be a 3D deer, but we didn't really have the ability to implement that right away. Well, now we're basically at a point where we feel like we can implement it. We've developed it in the background. It's just a matter of implementation. And the hunters will be able to look at and rotate a 3D deer on their screen, tap where they think the entry location was, and then the angle is already captured. And then on the back end, it's projecting where that arrow or bullet or whatever, what organs it hit. But the hunter can't see that. So there's a little bit of a block there in terms of trying to prevent the hunter from adjusting their point of impact based on what organs they thought that they hit. And it's just
that's a great call.
Well, and it's all
definitely do that.
It's based on like layers, right? So you have what we call like a hide layer. It's just going to have just a typical, deer just with the hide. And then the tracker will be able to have that. Will be, you'll be able to see through the hide. Will be removed, and then from there you can see everything from all the organs, all the skeletal structure, everything.
So basically, the hunter just sees a 3D realistic deer, marks where he shot it, submits it with the request, it gets attached, on our side, we get the request, we get to see internal organs with the hide removed and rotated, and then it tells us what organs were likely hit. And so, yeah, that's been a case before where I've seen hunters, they'll mark a spot where they shot the deer, and then when you remove the hide and they see they were behind the lungs, and they're like, no, I was up there. I hit the lungs, I'm sure. So let me move my point of impact up. We want honest feedback.
And
now that will rotate 360, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So you can get all.
They'll position it like it was standing when they were hunting, and then they touch it, and then that gives the angle of the exit. And then when we get it on the TRAKR side, we can continue to rotate it, and then that object. I should let Garrett talk about it. He's the one that created it.
You'll be able to see presented on the screen with the hide off on the TRAKR side when you're looking at accepting a track. Okay, here's the spot where they clicked. Here's the projected exit. There's a line connecting the two with a list of organs that got intersected by that line that went through. So instead of just looking at that 2D grid, it's just a little bit better representation, a little bit more accurate.
Better data too.
Better data, exactly. And then on the follow-up of the actual track, if you recovered the animal, then you can go in and put the true entry and exit. We didn't want to just allow the TRAKR to have to try and rotate. I mean, they're looking at an animal on the ground, right? But it's really easy to say, okay, well, the entry's right here, flip it over, the exit was right there. And then that would override, from a data standpoint, whatever the hunter thought he put in originally. And then the last, and that would also be a view where it's kind of transparent. You can see the organs and the bones, etc. The last place that would be implemented is a hunter or a TRAKR or whoever could look at, totally separate from a tracking request, to be able to play around with that animal, remove the hide, show the hide, and just play around with different shot locations, different angles. It's kind of an educational tool to be able to see what organs are
that was something that Garrett added that I was surprised to see, or pleasantly surprised to see. It's not just a tool in the request form. It's going to actually be like a standalone thing in the app where you can shoot the deer, see what it hit, shoot it again, just and learn the anatomy of a deer.
I'm telling you guys that I'm getting goosebumps thinking about that, because I love that kind of thing. And Shane, remember when we're doing the Cali Chronicles, you use that bow hunt simulator?
Yeah.
So let me tell you about that bow hunt simulator. Of course, obviously I downloaded it right away and started to use it myself. And because of that, that helped me recover a deer. My dog was being a meathead, and I'll hijack it for a second and just tell the quick story and why I think this type of thing is very, very useful. Because my dog, for whatever reason, kept going on this other path, and the hunter had a picture of the deer going by the trail camera after it was shot, so I could see the exit. I had the hunter's account of the deer and of the shot. I ran it on Bow Hunt Simulator, and I'm like, man, this baby's dead. And after about the third time of her going to, I don't know what she was doing, but she went to, this was 2 years ago, she kept going to the same place. I'm like, man, I don't know. I was about ready to call it. And I says, tell me the story again. I pulled it up on Bow Hunt Simulator, run it again. I says, no, this deer is dead. We went back to Last Blood. She marched right to the dead deer, and it was a 160-inch deer.
A good one.
It was a beaut, man. So I'm telling you, I use that all the time, that Bow Hunt Simulator. You got to take it with a little bit of a grain of salt, because it's only as accurate as a hunter's account. But if you use it properly and with the right perspective, and understand that it's just a sort of a gauge, not an absolute, it can be very helpful. And to your
easier
point,
to show them that. I've used it too out in the field, where I show them the app instead of them telling me or show me on their body. Like, touch the deer here, or show me on this app where you hit it.
Yeah, I am super. Now, is that going to be, when it comes out, is that going to be a base feature, or is that going to be in the paywall?
It'll be behind the subscription.
Okay, that's subscription based. But I'm telling you,
like I said before, the connection between hunters and trackers is free. Should always be free. But any bonus features we add, and we're doing it to make it better, but also there has to be a revenue stream to pay for
to
fund
sustain this type of stuff.
And so that gives you the option. If you don't want to pay anything, you don't have to use those features. You can continue to get tracks to that.
But I'm telling you, every time you guys do this, you're adding value to the subscription.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't want to be too crazy about it, but I think that is a huge asset for many reasons.
The biggest thing I think about the 3D deer is like in the follow-up form, he was mentioning it earlier, like you see it in 3 locations, the 2D deer now, when the hunter submits it, when we get it, and then when we do the follow-up. So the 3D deer replace all those 3 spots, and plus it'll have its own standalone. But right now, currently, when a tracker finds a deer, you mark the entry and exit on the form, and then you say what organs were hit. And if you don't stick around for them to field dress that deer, you either got to guess or you put unsure.
Right.
Well, with this feature, if you don't stick around for it, it'll ask you confirm the organs that were hit. And if you don't know for sure, it'll ask you, do you certainly know? Did you see this heart was hit and the lungs hit or the good liver's hit? Whatever's hit. It'll use based on where you put entry and exit to calculate the path and what most likely hit. So it'll give us a good idea. Right now, it's not doing that in the background because it's just a flat image of a deer.
Yeah, that gives you a high probability at least. And
it improves the data.
Improves the data.
Man, I should say Garrett's made some improvements also to the model, just trying to get it as accurate as possible as far as the spine, just reprogramming some things to make it
anatomically,
as accurate as possible.
Wow. Man, you guys get me fired up. I love that.
And then there's a bunch of small little updates.
Yeah, that's another big one. I didn't list every small one.
What's that in there? The tracking capability?
This is GPS
import or
the tracking feature.
I'll touch on a little bit. So we're adding a tracking feature in the app. So when you get to your location, you can hit start recording your path, and it'll be set up. We're gonna if trackers have noticed, I've asked the question about waypoints on social media. I've called trackers and talked to them personally, getting feedback. We're trying to make this something that you can, there'll be speed buttons to drop waypoints. I actually learned about another technology where you can get a little Bluetooth remote and you can carry it and just hit it and it'll drop waypoints as you walk. You don't even have to have the phone out. It'll start. Now, whether that's going to be included right now, I don't know, but we're adding a tracking feature, and I won't go into all the details of it because we haven't refined it. Exactly. That'll be the last thing that comes out. It'll probably be right before deer season starts, and that'll come out. But even if you don't want to use that feature, you can import GPS path of track from a Garmin device or Onyx, and it saves it with that request. So 5 years down the road, myself, I've been taking tracks on that since it came out, and so I can go in my history and I can see, I was trying to find someone to call. I couldn't remember the hunter's name. And so I just scrolled through my history and there it was, his name, his phone number, the location, all that information is saved in one location. And so these tracks will be saved. So everything in your history is, organized cleanly. So but the tracking feature is a big one coming out, and you'll be able to import your GPX files, even if you don't use it.
Yeah.
But we're going to build it for trackers.
Yeah, and it's important. Say it's not going to be a mapping system. We're not trying to do an Onyx or a Spartan
Forger. It's not going to be a hunting app.
It's nothing like that as far as into that detail. It's specifically for the tracker doing their track and to have all of the tools and stuff. They need that to record it. There's benefits in the future then if we have this GPS, if we have these tracks, we can start to possibly project out where, deer may be recovered then in the future after, we get hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, I mean, if you're tracking a deer and you're struggling, then the app will say, hey, make suggestions. I can't think of it.
It'd be a range. It wouldn't be
it's not
behind that tree over there. But
your deer's behind that rock. Yeah.
It just gives you some help.
Yeah, it'd be like an experienced tracker there with you and say, hey, based on everything I've seen in the past, this is a good idea. But like I was saying, we're building this for trackers. So, most apps and most things we use aren't geared for tracking.
Right.
Garmin devices are geared towards dog hunting, and Onyx is geared towards us hunting. So what I'm getting at is, like, you start a track and then you had to restart. The lines would automatically change to a different color so they're not confusing. You'll have speed buttons to drop waypoints, the important ones like blood or the truck where it's parked and stuff. And that's why anybody who wants to send me feedback on something they like to see, and we're trying to keep it as clean and simple as possible, but make it the way trackers want an app set up.
Yeah, you're so right about that, because everything, I mean, people are starting to try to cater a little more to the tracker, but it's bird dog, coon dog, hunter typically when it comes to electronics. So this is awesome.
One of the other features within that mapping is we're going to have something that's more of like a line smoothing.
Oh yeah.
That, so, if you're all over the place, it's going to have some kind of a logarithmic, function to basically try to smooth that out.
And you can edit yourself.
And edit and remove certain points just to help straighten it out, so you don't have zigzags everywhere, and you can see maybe a more natural path at the
more clean directional line. Yep.
Yeah, if you did spaghetti in one spot for 10 minutes, we don't want 600 yards of spaghetti included in the distance you track that deer. So you'll go in there, it'll smooth it out, or you'll go in there and smooth it out. And it won't just be like trim the ends like most apps are. You'll actually be able to move pins in the middle too, to, like, for whatever reason, something that doesn't belong.
Wow, that's really cool.
Now the fun stuff. We want to talk about data.
Let me recap the features. So
there's some other features we didn't touch on. A lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's okay. And you didn't touch on everything. But what we talked about is the location bubble will now follow you when you open the app. It's going to take you there. We talked about the recovery predictor, which is also super interesting, and all of the data that is gathering inside the app and from the submission to predict recoverability. To include your historical statistics
based on your own capabilities.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I tested it out last year. There's a tracker here in Minnesota. A buddy of mine tracks up here. He called and he said, "Oh yeah, I'm taking this track here." I said, "Let's see what the odds of it recovering." And both of us thought the deer was going to be dead, me and the other tracker. And it's like, so I plugged it into the app, and it came back with like an 18% recovery odds. I'm like, it's saying you're not going to recover this deer. He said, all right, we'll see. He went out there and he jumped that deer alive. It was still alive. And I think they ended up shooting it like 3 days later or something. But then another week later, he got another track, and he's like, yeah, I don't think we're going to find this. And I said, well, the app's giving you better odds of recovery than, more than 50%. So it's saying, yeah. And he went out there and found that deer. I was like, I don't want to get too excited about this, but the app using the data has already got two right. And as experienced trackers, we predicted them both wrong.
Yeah. See, that's super interesting to me. I love that stuff. Cool. So recovery predictor wrote 3D deer, which that's massive. Hunter rating, that's another update.
Mm-hmm.
Or rating the hunter. So that's an update. So the 3D deer in the track line are forthcoming features
right
that you expect to be out sometime near
the end of August. One will come out, we're hoping mid-August, the other one at the end of August.
Mm-hmm.
And then one other update I should mention they're working on now is and we had this suggested to us, is about the penetration of an arrow. Right now, it just asks, did you have a pass-through or not? Now it's going to be a slider where you can choose a few inches of arrow went in, a quarter of the arrow went in, half of it, or the bolt of a crossbow, or it was a full pass-through. And then the last one is you're unsure whether it passed through or not. So I think that cleans up the data sometimes, because a non-pass-through can be embedded to the fletching or a couple inches in, and so that influences the accuracy of the data. So I think this will tighten that up a little bit.
Oh, I think it will too. That's awesome. And good stuff, guys. I love this. Man, I can't wait to see that rotating deer.
I'm gonna take my nap now. These guys will take over the data.
Okay,
right.
Data. Want me to share my screen, Ryan?
Yeah.
With the data we talked about, I showed you before.
Which page you starting with?
Yeah.
I'm starting at the first one that was in your slides.
They may have been in the opposite order that we had.
Yeah, we probably got them in different order, but that's fine.
Well, I can go backwards. Hold on.
No,
it's right.
You're good.
Right order.
This is good? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this one, it's looking at a standard knock versus a lighted knock. And what's cool about this one is, as far as the pass-through, that the, is 21% were unsure if they had a standard knock, but that dropped to only 11% when they had a lighted knock. So just the value of being able to see your arrow actually go through and penetrate through is just a lot more accurate with having that on there. And it also with hit placement as well is definitely big.
Yeah, the recoverability didn't change.
No,
right? That number stayed pretty flat. But but what's not really fully captured here is related to being able to tell if you had a passer or not. Did some people outside of the app, were they able to make then a decision based on what they saw with the lighted knock that
or
required them to
not even
need a
or give accurate information to the hunter or the tracker where you actually hit the deer.
Right.
They were far more accurate with the lighted knock.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, we all anecdotally we believe that's true, and now we have the statistical evidence to prove it, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's awesome. Next one. Are you still? Do you have more?
Yeah.
Here?
No, that's good.
Shot distance by weapon. Who reaches, who stays. I think this is no surprise to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I haven't had a chance to digest this stuff yet.
We don't have it in the same order, probably.
Are we good?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The sheet. Do you remember off the top of your head here?
About any key findings there?
Yeah, I know the crossbows.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
There. Yeah.
Recoverability by distance, I would have assumed.
I
would have assumed either or that it gets worse with further distance.
Maybe the angle.
Yeah. Well, just people maybe are less sure what they had
Exactly.
the further out you get. But what we saw with compound is that did seem to kind of be the case. I mean, there's not a huge change, and it drops a little bit. And crossbow is kind of the opposite, like it's kind of flat, and then we have that. There's 11 data points,
so the data
of which over 50-yard shots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so small sample size, relatively speaking, but crossbows had the highest of those 11. 64% were recovered on really long shots.
Right.
That was interesting.
This is really cool, and I'm just bear with me while I'm digesting this or just kind of looking at it.
We'll share these images on our Facebook page and Instagram and stuff after the podcast. If people want to take a deeper dive into it.
Yeah.
And that small text at the bottom has some like little takeaways and some disclaimers.
Can you make that screen a little bigger?
Oh, down here.
As big as this.
As big as it'll get.
Yeah.
I could have streamed it to the TV.
Let's see here.
And the wait time.
Yeah, the wait time is my favorite.
This one matched what you predicted, Shane.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a thought that, everybody talks about crossbow hunters or basically think they're shooting a gun. And I've kind of thought that too. Not that they think they're going to shoot a gun, but you seem to get a lot of gun hunters when they get into archery, they just grab a crossbow instead of a compound. So they have the same, they carry that mentality over. And then when we got to thinking about wait times and shot distance, I was like, I bet they don't wait very long because gun hunters, I find they don't wait at all. And they're probably taking longer shots. And I don't know the data off the top of my head, but Garrett says it agrees with what I was thinking.
Yeah, the average wait time as the weapon gets less challenging, the wait time also drops.
Yep, drops as well.
I think it was about a half-hour difference or close to that, a little over 20 minutes less that crossbow hunters waited on average.
they're still not waiting long enough. I mean, even like if you look at, I don't know if it's in this chart, but the one where they hit what organs they hit. It's like they hit, if they thought they hit in the lungs, they'd wait an hour. If they thought they hit gut, they'd wait 2 hours.
2 hours. Yeah, it wasn't.
Yeah.
We'd be encouraged a little longer for that, but yeah, it was interesting.
Man, this recovery odds by wait time. Or did we just talk about that? No, we didn't. Or did we?
No, the other one was.
Yeah,
and it was pretty flat. That was the thing that I thought was the most interesting there.
So this is easy to read. So recovery odds by wait time for audio listeners: 0 to 30 minutes, 30% recovery; 31 to 60 minutes, 25% recovery; 1 to 2 hours, 29%; 2 to 6 hours, 26%; 6 to 12 hours, 33%; 12 plus hours, 32%. And even the high water mark ain't all that high, is it? 32%. I mean, it's kind of on par with the national average recovery rate, particularly for
people looking at this data are thinking, okay, those are some small percentages for recovery, but if you connect it with what that represents, we know as trackers that 35 to 40% means we recovered about 100 of the mortally wounded deer, 100% of the mortally wounded deer. We find most of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then if you take that percentage and say, okay, 40% recovery rate for one, that's 100%. And then if they waited longer or waited less, then it drops to 35%. So now you're only finding 90% of the mortally wounded deer. So I don't know if that makes sense, but in my head it does. I just said,
well, I mean, it goes to that post you put out a couple of weeks ago on changing the way we think about recovery rates.
It's game loss reduction rate.
Yeah, game loss reduction rate. Now, that was interesting. I had to go back and find it and hear it again, but it certainly was a thought-provoking post. I thought it was really interesting.
And that's for only trackers. I mean, I know the off-lead trackers. Well, I wish I could track off-lead, but they're baying up deer and dispatching, so they're going to be a little higher. But typically, even for off-lead trackers, if you were to survey them and ask them of all the deer you find or recover, which ones were dead at recovery, it's going to be about 35 to 40% of them. That's the baseline.
I agree with that. Because as a lot of those guys, they're just simply running tracks sooner than you and I would, right? They're running that shot 6 hours.
And bay it up.
Yeah, exactly. If you're
nothing wrong with that. I mean, you don't have to worry about the risk of spoilage if the deer dies sooner than when you would track it. Right. But I mean, there's a place for all of it. It just depends on what you can do and the type of team you want to be. I mean, I don't know. We'll see what my little cur dog does if she can bay, but it's not going to change my approach. I still want to track to a dead deer, so I'm going to. I don't want to track to a deer. We have luxury up north up here that we can the weather plays in our favor a lot of times. It's cool enough.
It does.
We don't have to worry about spoilage.
Yeah, I agree. So what we got here? Recovery by hit location, the gut shot paradox.
Yeah, this one's kind of interesting because there's, it's pretty common knowledge for hunters to wait longer if they think they've hit a, gut or liver shot to go ahead and, let it set. But is it, when we know it does take longer for them to expire, and you should do that, but is the fact that they are going ahead, they're waiting, and that is what's creating a higher success rate, because we see a 42 to 52% success rate. Now, we also know that that's going to be always fatal if it's a gut shot or a liver shot, but the idea that they know to wait, if they would take that same concept to some of the other shot locations and just wait, would we see an improved, percentage for that? So it's one way or the other.
Yeah, I think also the hard shots and stuff, they're not actually hard shots.
Yeah,
clearly
that's
they're
a
not hard.
Yeah, good point. This is what the hunter input on the app is. The organs they suspected they hit. Yeah. So if they think they hit the heart, it shows 28%. Doesn't mean that hard shots are 28% fatal.
They probably hit.
They hits, yeah, exactly. Right. They hit something that was in the front half that wasn't vital.
Right, but we do have a stat too that that calls out that generally hunters, for the most part, they're at least honest as far as where they think they hit. So we look at, well, I think it was a heart or a double lung. We know that it probably is in the vitals. It wasn't, necessarily in the stomach, back, and so we have proof, at least going through as far as what the blood was telling us when they're trailing it. Typically, if they say they shot it in the gut, that over 50 something, I think 54% of the tracks had either a foul smell or sign of, a gut shot within there. And then I think it was only 2% if they thought that they hit it, as a double lung or, a heart. Clearly they didn't get a double lung or a heart, but they were at least in the region. So they have an idea of where they're hitting, but specifically looking at the heart or both lungs, it's kind of hard to tell unless you recover the animal.
That's where that 3D deer is going to clean this up. We won't ask them what organs they think they hit. We'll just say, touch on the deer where you hit, and then we'll go from there. The app will say where it's suspected it hit.
Exactly. It's really, really interesting to see how that, after that thing gets out there and starts accumulating data, how it changes this data set. Mm-hmm. Because you're right, it's a paradox, and the data's the data, right? And it's qualified. And you just qualified it by, the heart lungs are based on where they thought they hit, because not all of them are able to be verified. But you would never convince, 99% of the people that heart and lungs were 30% and lower recovery rate, and stomach and liver were 42.
We're not suggesting to now start doing stomach shots.
Oh heavens, no! That's a great qualifier, Ryan.
That's not where we're going with it. But
no, that's a great qualifier. But yeah, it's just so interesting to me.
Yeah, it's just the other, what is it, 20% for heart? The other 70% were recovered by the hunter. That's all.
Yeah.
And it was actually a heart. Now, when a heart shot, they can be a heart shot and they need a tracker. I've tracked deer that were heart shot. Mm-hmm. It didn't get into the chambers of the heart, so it didn't bleed the deer out quickly. It did put a big gash across the back of the heart where that muscle is just nothing but muscle. So it's possible to track a heart shot. If there's just regular hunters and non-trackers watching this, we see it all the time where it gets into the heart and we don't have a blood trail and we still need a dog to track it.
Yeah. I had to put my dog on my uncle's deer that was shot in the heart with a 450 Bushmaster. I was shocked that it was hit where it was. I mean, the deer was far, but we didn't have blood, so we waited and I put the dog on it, and damn Skippy, there it was.
You saw the video, that zombie buck one I posted. Mm-hmm. That deer was alive for over 2 minutes. He ran out there to 60 yards and stood there. Now, let's just suppose he continued running. How far is a deer going to go in 2 minutes?
A hell of a long way.
And he was. I've got pictures of the lungs and heart. I took him a video actually after I field dressed him, and it went right through both chambers of the heart, and it went through center punch both lungs basically. A little bit back on the right side, and a little bit forward on the left. And he lived that long. And I'm sitting there in the stand. I remember thinking it was a perfect shot. And I'm like, why is he not going down? And it was the longest 2 minutes of my life. Finally.
Oh, yeah. And that was, remind me what time of year that was?
That was first week of gun season.
Was it the target?
Around November 8th or 10th.
Okay. Yeah. So they're all jacked up on testosterone.
Oh, what? He was all rutted up because I think he's the deer came through in the dark when I was getting up in my tree. Yeah, a deer come running up to me.
I remember you telling that. Yeah.
And I got my camcorder. I put it in night vision mode, but it was so dark I couldn't even see with it. And you could hear him stand. And then he went running off. Right. He circled around me. I heard him run through the cattails.
Yeah.
And I guess he heard me moving, and he thought I was another deer in the dark, and he was coming to challenge me. Because he had a Glendale buck target in his antlers.
I remember, yeah.
I posted that video. The archery shop reached out to me because they had a customer there wanting to get some trail cameras because a buck had destroyed their Glendale buck target overnight.
Mhm.
And the archery shop guy had seen my YouTube video, and he reached out to me and said, I think I found the source of that Glendale buck target. It was 1.3 miles away in a little subdivision, and the deer slammed it against a pine tree and shattered it. He couldn't find the head of the deer, and he couldn't find the core. I said, well, I got the core. But anyway, that buck ran by me, and I guess he didn't go far, because as soon as it started getting a little light, I grunted, and he come running out of the trees and into the cattails, and he come straight to me. I mean, he was, and then even when he got to me, I went to draw, and I had a problem with, I put some new moleskin on my wrist, and it gripped the arrow too tight, and it come off the string. And when I let down, my hand went across my clothing, and he heard it, and he jumped into the woods, and then he came right back out. I was like, this guy he's putting himself at so many huge risks. He came up to me in the dark, then he came to my grunting, and then I was trying to ruin the hunt.
And I mean, that deer was going to let you. That's what I say, man. When you get testosterone and then adrenaline, that's a survival serum, man. It's inexplicable.
Yeah.
Man. And you're getting me all fired up for season. What we got here? Call before you crawl. What's this?
I like that.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Before you get on your
before you use the app, though. Let's see.
Gary, you want to take this one?
It just shows how the less time, or the quicker you call a tracker, the higher your odds of recovery is what the data showed in the app. And by far the largest was people didn't even attempt to track, which is interesting, because you would think that there's maybe something built in of if the hunter thinks the shot is so bad that they're not even going to bother to track, there's probably more really bad hits mixed in. But it was the bracket that had by far the highest recovery.
I think what it is with that is when you shoot gut, liver and stuff, most people, those are the easiest for a tracking team to find, the dogs are. And it's the hardest for a person to track, eyesight track. There's no blood trail. So that, to me, explains why that's, I mean, if I'm in a stand, my daughter shot one in the guts during the youth gun hunt. At first, I thought it was a good shot. Thank God I was recording it, because I saw the ripple of the hide when the bullet hit. And I thought it was like back here, right? In the heat of the moment. And the recoil, I guess it shook us all, but I don't know. Anyway, I had the video and I replayed it, and I saw it hit farther back. And I was like, we're not even tracking that deer. You know, we're going to give it overnight. And then I brought Callie in there, and she took me to it the next morning. So I think I think the hunters are smart enough to know that, hey, I'm going to need a tracker.
Yeah. So in this case, like 48%. But if you do start tracking it, as soon as you get to 200 yards, if you're tracking it, you drop your percentage basically 50%. It's cut in half at that point. You're down to 19% at that point. So it's significant.
This is so interesting. I'm glad you sent me this stuff, because I'm gonna.
Yeah, so my guideline was I've been telling people, it's like, hey, if you get to about 300 yards of tracking your deer and you haven't come up on your deer yet, you may want to consider backing out and getting a dog. But this right here is saying if you reach the 200-yard mark, that's probably the threshold to start really considering reassessing the situation and maybe getting a tracker on.
A lot of this is where you start asking the other questions, like, well, let's look at it based on where the hunter thought they hit it. Let's look at it based on if they had blood, or if there's anything to track, or if they're just grid searching specifically. So it's like, these are great things to look at, but then, to have that information to start drilling down further and try to answer some of those questions.
Again, this is I mean, you start getting to that 400 plus yards at 21%. Those are probably the back wax and high shoulders.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Or the deer they bumped and
or the deer they bumped and crossed 3 properties they trespassed on.
Yep.
Yeah. This is so good. Yeah, I call it the 150 rule. I didn't coin that phrase. I just adopted it. If you've reached 150 yards and haven't found your deer, blood or not, you need to pause. You need to rethink, call somebody, what's going on, because it's probably not what you thought it was.
Call before you crawl. If you're on your hands and knees looking for the next drop, you're crawling around. You should be calling before you're doing that. You should be
call before you crawl. Oh, I'm getting all kinds of cool phrases. I like that one. Call before you crawl. Yeah, I tell people when you transition from tracking blood to searching for blood, stop, call. There's a difference, and that's what you're getting at here. Before you start crawling around looking for that micro dot, call somebody. I love this. Trail length before the call.
That's again, I think, reinforces pushing the deer a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
The longer the trail, the more likely you bumped it, and the odds of. But what is the trail length before? This is how long they've tracked before.
Before calling, yeah.
Before they decide to call a track.
Okay.
Yeah, where's that on here? Is it?
They're looking for the document.
Yeah, my eyesight's going bad here as far as looking at the computer screen. I need my
fingers.
You should have my eyeballs.
Yeah.
I can see the computer screen from here. I can't see the documents up close. That's my issue. I can't see the screen clearly though. But I probably can see it clearer than you can.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think some of these slides.
The trail length before you call. Can't find that one.
No, we don't. We didn't have that one printed out. But
okay.
You want to read some of that out, or you want to go to the next slide?
Yeah, let's hit the next one. Reading the reaction. So here's a good one because we always ask, and I have not pre-screened any of these, so that heading just got me.
I really like.
Yeah, let's talk about that. You have that one?
So as far as just looking at what their reaction is, and based on where they've hit, the typical like mule kick that you'll see, there is 2 times more likely that it's a heart lung shot or some combination of it. But if you get that hunched reaction out of it, it's 3 times more likely that it's probably a stomach or gut shot. So it's just confirming really what that reaction is, and
kind of reinforcing
it's reinforced it.
If you did see a mule kick, people say, "Oh, that doesn't mean a heart shot." Well, it doesn't necessarily mean a heart shot, but odds are higher that it is a heart shot than any other shot. What I liked the most was it dropped in his tracks. Now, I think Garrett took all these because this is free text that you type in when the hunter is asked what was the reaction, and he had to use AI or something to sort them all of them that were similar, group them like, oh, it hit the ground and got up and walked away or ran hard away, whatever the wording. AI knew that, okay, this one dropped in his tracks and then rocketed out of there. It knows that those are 2 the same description. So it classified. But anyway, the ones that drop in their tracks, you see the percentage recovery there. We know what that means. It's a spine shot. Even if you look at the little notes at the bottom, it even says that it's likely a spine shot.
Yeah.
And I was talking to one of our fellow trackers up here. I was going over this particular chart, and I'm like, yeah, it's if a deer drops in his tracks, no matter what the weapon is, gun, bow, you either put a second shot into it or be prepared for one. So with an archery and it drops in its tracks, it's either spine shot or a spine shot. So it's either going to get back up or it's going to be sitting there with its front legs. Yeah. So you know that it either hit the spinal fins or either cut the spinal cord. So go ahead and put a shot in that one. With a gun, they'll go down and they may be still, and then they'll get up and run off. So you need to have that gun on it for a little while, making sure. Or if you see it moving while it's still on the ground, trying to get back to his feet, go ahead and shoot it. So in any case, no matter what the weapon, be prepared for a follow-up shot if it drops in its tracks.
I wholly agree with that, and have that conversation every year with somebody, and try to spread the word through my Facebook page and stuff. Man, if the deer drops, shoot it again. The worst you got is $3 in a bullet maybe you didn't need. If you shoot it again, if you don't shoot it again and it gets away, you're not going to find the deer. In all likelihood.
No, it's not going to die. It's just going to keep running,
right?
Not unless you
exactly. Yeah, because it's not going to die. And I will tell you that after I started tracking, and that became an awareness for me. During gun season, I shot a deer, and he ran, but then he what did he do? Anyway, I shot that deer 4 times because he was still moving. I'm like, this deer is not getting away, you know. So yeah, squeeze the trigger, man. It's cheap insurance.
The other thing that's kind of interesting on that one, the slide that you have on your screen, it doesn't break out what the hunter suspected they hit.
Yes.
We have a printout here that also shows it broken out even further by organs the hunter thought they hit. There's really no correlation for ran hard or mule kick or really anything on here. It's kind of flat across the board. People that thought they hit liver, mule kick was 17%, heart was 20.
Yep.
So it kind of goes to, hunters are honest with what they thought they hit, but there's still probably some inaccuracy there.
Yep, absolutely.
Man, this is fun stuff.
But dropped in their tracks is never a good thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no matter how you slice it, that's never a good thing.
It's what 5%, 6%, on average there. So
yeah, the highest individual thing was ran hard.
yeah.
Let's go back.
But all deer run hard after they got shot. I mean,
I think we have a different slide somewhere in there that will break it down differently. But we can just go to the next one here.
do you have reading interaction? You don't have that? Oh, shot distance versus recovery. You have that one?
Yeah, we got
Recovery odds.
Yeah,
You need my
right here.
no. I can start. Yeah.
And we had it for bow and firearm, and interestingly here too, like the data was pretty flat.
Yeah.
You know, we're 30% for basically all shot distance brackets, archery, and hovering around that same level roughly for firearm. Which again, there's some subset of probably short shots we would assume where no TRAKR was required. But when the TRAKRs were required, it almost didn't matter what the shot distance was for either weapon type.
We probably could break this out. It's looking at it just as bow and firearm. We could look at it as compound and crossbow and break it, because we know that crossbows are going to definitely be effective past 40.
Break it down even further, if you want to get really into the
draw weight and
draw weight and
you can
we got
dissect this.
All that's been collected not on every track, but when the hunters put it in their toolbox, like my bow's in my toolbox on my hunter account, it has the draw weight, draw length, and the arrow weight and broadhead brand and model. I mean, all that's being kept or collected as data on our site. It's just the more into the weeds you get, the less we have of that data, because the hunters, it's an option. We don't want to make it a chore for them to fill out a request. So they have the option to give all those details, or they can just say they shot it with a compound.
Right. Yeah. That's right. I mean, the more detail, the better the data can be, or the more the deeper you can dive it. But you're exactly right.
It's just all those fine details it's a small data set right now compared to other stuff. But as we get requests in the app ages, that'll get bigger.
That's what's important. Yeah, just about the hunter's toolbox is just go ahead and get some of those, your equipment filled out first before having any type of request. So you're having to go through all of that. So you can go through and put in your different types of bow setups with different broadheads, arrow manufacturers, everything, draw weight, arrow weight. It just breaks it down to about everything. If you have that in there, then you can save that. And then when you do need a request, you just pull that one, either a firearm or bow, whatever one it is, and it'll just load all that information in with that track then. And so now we have all of that data tied to that one track. Yeah,
we have every brand of broadhead out there basically on the app, and we'll add new ones. Like I know of 2 of them that we don't have on the app. They're fairly new, or I just discovered them. Manufacturers of broadheads, they'll be on the app before deer season starts. I'll give I'll give the developer a new list of like here's 6 more broadheads, toss them in there. Here's another firearm caliber manufacturer or bullet manufacturer, whatever that came on the market. Who knows? So
Yeah,
trying to keep that
yeah.
up to date.
Yeah. The heck was I going to say?
Shot distance versus recovery odds. This one.
I thought we just did that.
Yeah, I think we did. Yep. Oh.
Yeah, we just did this one. I had to go back through. I had something I was going to say. I'll think of it. Pass through.
Pass through phase, past 40 yards.
Yep.
Yeah, and this is part of with the crossbow as well as probably, you know, I wouldn't say skewing the data, but looking at it as a bow, you know, you get beyond 40 yards, it definitely, your pass through is dropping. I would expect that.
Oh, sure.
You start losing energy.
Yeah, and especially if it's going to be a compound. My question right away was, what's the size of the broadhead? Is it how many blades? Is it a mechanical? Yes. You know, maybe there's not much of a difference between 0 to 20 yards, and then at 30 yards you start seeing it drift apart between, you know, 2 different types of broadheads, or the amount of blades or the cutting diameter, and you know, all the above.
We have that data, right? We want to dig in.
We do.
Okay, so we could have dug in deeper, or we can if we decide to see compounds fixed at different ranges versus expandables versus hybrid.
The other thing that's not really captured in these just basic graphs and charts is statistical rigor, right? Mm-hmm. We could analyze these with you know, box plots and standard deviations, because there's going to be obviously some variance. So it's interesting from that standpoint that the numbers do tend to average pretty close to one another. But there's enough data there that we could go a level deeper and show how much of this is just, okay, it's one number versus a number, but there's enough variability that they're not really different. This is just kind of a high level pass.
This is that tech.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's talking about over there.
I'm willing to bet that if you just took the archery data set and separated that between compound bow and crossbow, it would really tell a story. And what I mean by that is, I'm willing to bet that you will see far less pass-throughs with a crossbow. I've only shot 4 deer with my crossbow, and only one of them was a pass-through.
I think hunters get more pass-throughs with a crossbow.
You think so?
I guess maybe it's dependent on shot placement. You're not as picky with the crossbow, possibly.
They just aim for center of the body, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, maybe they'll take that hard quartering 2 shot more often.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
And that's the interesting.
You have to dig in and look at, like you said, distance and angle of the deer, and factor all that in, and then it, you know, if they're shooting in the soft part of the deer more often, obviously they're going to have more pass throughs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So. My and let me just think about this. Like I said, I haven't shot many deer. The only pass through was about 30 yards, slightly quartering towards. Everything else, 2 of them were 45 or inside of 50, 45 to 50, let's say.
Do crossbows, and this is my assumption, but I'm going to ask the question, do crossbow hunters hunt from the ground more often than compound hunters? I would think so.
I don't know.
Pull that information too. We know hunting height, at least hunting height above animal.
Just think about it. It seems like every person I know that hunts with a crossbow, or every crossbow hunter I've tracked for, was hunting from the ground. I can't remember any of them shooting from the tree.
More apt out of a blind. I know a lot of states used to have more regulations around you. Needed to have a, you know, like a doctor slip, basically.
No, but I will say,
yeah. Michigan was like that for a long time.
Hunters have been older, and so that also affects whether they're going to get elevated or not.
Yep.
You know, Shane, I've never thought about that, but I bet you're right. I'm just gonna make it a note to make a mental note of that this season if the crossbow hunter was on the ground or in a tree. And I've never thought about that till just now, and I'm inclined to think maybe they were more on the ground. setting in a pop-up blind with their kids or something, or like you said, an aging hunter or something like that.
And ground hunters, I don't know if that's in the stats, but I would think they would require a deer being tracked more often for a lethal hit than a elevated hunter for a lethal hit, because
your perspective
exit wound's high.
Oh yeah,
There's nowhere for the blood to go.
Also, when you're elevated, you can see the deer run further, so you can maybe get a better track on where it's going.
Better line of sight,
I'm just getting at, if the deer falls in sight, obviously they don't need a tracker. But let's say the situations are all the same as far as elevated versus ground hunter. They hit them in the same spot and they all run 300 yards and die. You're gonna have blood most likely from an elevated hunt versus a ground hunt. I mean, I tracked the one that just popped in my head. I tracked a doe for a fellow, and he had no blood at all, and it went into a cornfield. We found that doe in the cornfield. Perfect hit. She didn't go far at all. He didn't have a single drop of blood on the ground, and he didn't want to go grid that cornfield, and he wasn't even sure if it's still in the cornfield. It came out in the woods. We found it pretty quick, but
so he called before he crawled.
Yeah.
That's what. Yeah, I mean, I have a kid I tracked for.
He got up the ground blood.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's where I was going.
He did. I mean, he searched for blood to see if he had any. He didn't have any. He called me and said, "Man, I don't have a drop of blood, but I know I hit her good."
Yep. Yeah, I've had him call for my tree stand, and one guy I've tracked I've recovered 3 or 4 deer for him, his brother, or his girlfriend, and called me from the tree stand, and I'm like, okay, man, get out of there, sneak out. I'll be there tomorrow after work. 17 hours later, and 6 minutes to recover the deer, and 3 of those was trying to get my dog to quit focusing on the doe we bumped. Because he did every single thing right. It matters, and your statistics show that. If we go back 4 or 5 slides, whatever it was, your stats show that. If you don't track, your percentages increase. And anecdotally, we know that now. You're getting statistical data to prove it,
or reinforce it at least.
To reinforce it, yeah. Public land outperforms. What is this?
I have a theory on that, but you go ahead and talk about the stats there, Garrett or Ryan.
And it wasn't huge. It was a few percentage points better, but the recovery odds of tracks taken on public were a little bit higher than they were on private. I mean, the only thing that comes to my mind is maybe more land of roam. But I don't remember if this cross-referenced if the reason for lost tracks on private were because they ran into boundaries that they didn't have permission on. Because that could certainly be a factor. The pass-throughs also showed us a little bit higher on public. I don't know if there's much really we can read into that.
No,
I don't think so. That's my thought. So I was talking to another Minnesota tracker about this chart. We were just going through all of them, just kind of bouncing ideas off. And one of the questions came up is, why is their pass-through rate higher? And I was like, well, your public land hunter probably puts more thought. The public land hunter right now is out scouting, putting cameras on the public land.
Yeah.
They're thinking, like Ryan and I are thinking about our hunt coming up in September. And so they're probably more in tune with their gear. They're practicing, making sure it's tuned right. And they're doing more things 5% of the time more, or 10%, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so they end up getting an arrow that's flying straight and get more passes. Where your public land hunter, who knows? I'm not going to disparage of a private land hunter. I mean, but I've been around some of those guys. They just go grab a bow or something out of the garage that they haven't even shot all summer, and then they go out there and hunt. It's just a casual thing, and then they end up not getting a pass through. They might kill the deer, but they just, I don't know. That's just a theory in my head that those guys are going to spend more effort to get their gear right.
Right, and also if you own the property, you may not want somebody coming on it right away, or maybe it's the week before gun season and you have your group come in and you don't want to blow the woods out of your personal property. So
that wouldn't affect pass-through. Right?
Not pass-through, but the amount of recovery, they might exhaust it themselves and just call it, versus getting a tracker and actually doing it more the right way. Just a thought.
Probably
Yeah.
a big deal with that. I agree with Garrett's assertion that public land usually are bigger
I think that's
bigger
right.
tracts of land. That's where I'm leaning. I mean, you're right. The separation, I mean, is, you could almost argue, is statistically not relevant, but it's different, right? I mean, but I bet that I would lean towards bigger tracts of land. Not being impeded by property stops and things.
I mean, I can think of one instance myself where I tracked a deer and it was a suspected one lung hit deer.
Mm-hmm.
And we ended up jumping that deer and it didn't get out of there real fast. And luckily we had enough land to roam, and I'm on lead though, but the way this deer got up, I felt that we could continue pushing this deer with one lung hit. And so I didn't have to worry about a property boundary because it went for 2 more miles or whatever it was. And I ran behind Callie with that lead, and we come around the next curve, and there's that deer bedded again. He didn't get up the second time.
I think
he just sat there.
Yeah, I think the next slide then goes into the property lines, and just the value of that.
I have evening shots. There it is. Here's property lines.
We need to go back to that one in a little bit. We'll talk about this one first, but we had some interesting discussions on the other one, I think.
Oh, okay.
Property lines cost you.
Yeah, was it a 6-point difference in recovery? But just making sure that you have everything lined up before you start hunting, if you are in private, or I guess a small patch of public, but just making sure you get in contact with those people around and getting permission to at least get on that property if in the event you do shoot one and it goes there, versus waiting or just getting a late call and then saying no. The odds clearly will drop to recovering that animal.
It basically reinforces know your neighbors before the season and get
And what a perfect time to talk about that. Hunters, if you're listening, get a hold of your neighbors now. Get that boundary issue squared away. Yeah, this is interesting. The
biggest issue I come across is, you have landowners that won't let you come on their property, but the biggest thing is if you're bringing a dog. I get so many times I can recall or not so many, but there's been a number of them where I get called to go on a track. And either I arrive there or I'm en route, and they say, never mind, the landowner doesn't want any dogs on their property. And I was like, did you tell them they're on a lead or a leash? Like, yeah, they just don't want any dogs on their property at all. I'm like, well, that's okay. And
that's short-sighted. I get 2 or 3 of those a year.
So not only talk to your neighbor about, hey, if I get a deer shot, and he comes over here, are you going to have an issue with a dog? Know ahead of time. And the other thing it tells me is don't hunt next to the property lines.
Don't be
up
tight
about
on
200 yards.
Listen, I didn't think that was an issue with a property owner not allowing it because you have a dog, but Shane, was that 2 years ago? I shot that buck and we did it as a practice track. And I actually had to convince the landowner that he's a good guy and his dog's good.
And on a leash.
Yeah. And on a leash. And I already don't know where the deer is, but I had a hunch that he's close. Yeah. And it took some convincing to get him
just to have a practice track.
Well, I think there's still a stigma about dogs, particularly of certain generation, I guess, and then and maybe
I think a lot of them think it's going to leave a lot of odor like a coyote or something. That's what I seem to gather. Like they're going to mess up my deer. I'm like, I'm walking out there. What about the humans then? There's coyotes all out there. You're not going to stop them from walking through. What's a domestic dog going to hurt?
100%. 100%.
We're preaching to each other. The choir here. We are in agreement. We're going to try. We don't have a problem with it. But it's mind-boggling that people would have an issue with it to me. But it's their land. They can decide what they want.
So 36% recovery rate with no boundary issues, and can obtain permission is the next highest at 33%.
One of those stuck out at me because it kind of jumps up. They don't actually have permission, but they can obtain it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the next highest one.
And that's because that tells me they knew in advance they have a good relation with their neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't even have to ask. They know I can obtain it.
Yeah. Interesting.
At least that's what it tells me.
Yeah. That's fun stuff. Let's go back to your evening shots. Recover better.
Yeah, so I was having this conversation and I said, what's the ones that probably have the highest odds of recovery? A deer shot in the morning, one in the middle of the day, and one in the evening. And why do you think that is? My friend was like, I'm not sure. Maybe the one shot in the morning has the best odds because you got daylight. And I'm like, no, it's the complete opposite. You shoot one in the evening, or a hunter shoots in the evening, they run out of light and they just back out. So now you have a clean track. And then because they got to wait overnight, they might as well go ahead and get a dog en route to be there first thing, So
much easier to wait in the evening than it is in the morning.
It's amazing.
Oh yeah, when you got all day long. Oh yeah.
And you got daylight, and you can. Yeah,
that's actually in the caption at the bottom there. I think it says, or somewhere we have the number one reason for people ran out of light.
Mm-hmm. And likely because hunters back out overnight or a forced wait. Evening is also approximately 50%. Oh, here's an interesting footnote in your footnote. Evening is also 58% of all shots. So more deer being shot in the evening than in the mornings.
I would agree with that because I hunt more often in the evenings, and I also shoot more deer in the evenings.
There we go.
Well, you're right in with this statistic. Yeah. Do you think so? It's interesting how we think about this, because you talk. I mean, I think you're spot on. In the darkness is a forces them to wait, which I probably would not have gone there. I immediately start thinking about dog work and scenting conditions, where the scenting conditions at night, the thermals are down. You're getting out there probably in the morning before they really start to rise. And temperatures, but I bet you it's more related to the forced wait.
I guess we'd have to break it down even further and say, okay, the evening ones, when did they call the tracker? Did they go back in the next morning, continue tracking, and then couldn't find it? Even though it's shot in the evening, we may not have been out there to track it until the middle of the day. So the sending conditions could be the same.
That's right. Yeah.
Or it may not be a clean track. So I guess we'd have to dive in there deeper into the data to see exactly what time did the tracks occur, how far did they average track it, But something's going on that the evening recovery rates are
absolutely
higher.
Oh yeah.
But sending conditions would be great if first thing in the morning, all that moisture on the ground from the dew or whatever.
Oh yeah.
But that would help if it's first thing in the morning.
But you're right. I bet you a lot of them are going out in the morning with their brother and their nephews, and
the ones that
stomping it up. And
the ones that get shot in the morning, we don't get called to track them until late that afternoon. They've been out there searching all day, grid searching everything else, and now they've exhausted everything. So they're like, let's call a dog. And I'm like,
yep,
not too good.
Man, this is so fun, man. The rut costs you. Here we go. You got that one?
Yeah, this one's pretty clear too. When you look right at November and early rut, there it drops to 26%. You look further into late December, and it's up to 44%. So that's what Garrett and I were just talking before the podcast here of why is late December so much better. It's maybe based on maybe snow cover or something easier to track.
And the bucks are depleted of energy, and
the energy's gone.
Everything. They're just weak at that point.
But you get that early rut stage, the zombie buck time. I mean, they don't know they're hit and they're off.
one thing to note is the doe recovery rate drops just a little bit in the rut too. And I don't think, they don't have the same effect as the rutted up bucks, but I think part of the reason we lower the recovery odds in is what happens during the rut. There's so many deer running back and forth, moving. There's so many scents out there, rutting odors. The dogs struggle with all that extra scent. And like I told my friend, I said, the deer are basically out there grid searching. They're just running. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
And so in the rut, it just makes it more difficult to recover deer.
In general,
your odds of recovery are going to drop slightly during the rut because there's so much going on with deer.
This one's not broke out by weapon type either, I don't think. So you're typically, at least in the Midwest, and that you're going to have some of your gun season going on as well. And I don't know if that impacts it at all as much, but we know for a fact that bucks do run further in that early rut.
Man, this is so. I mean, it's a validation what we think we know. It's validating or supporting what we think we know. To your point, Shane, talking about the deer grid searching during the rut. I was on a track last year, and I don't want to tangent off into a tracking story on every data set, but we tracked this deer for legitimately 2 miles, and we got down in this kind of river bottom, really beautiful deer haven area, surrounded by cornfields and this little river bottom thing. And I saw more deer, bucks chasing does while I'm tracking this wounded deer than I have ever seen from the deer stand. I mean, there were just deer everywhere, and it was, it was chase phase, man. It was crazy. So you're 100% valid in that the deer are grid searching it for you and spreading all kinds of strong odors around.
Mm-hmm.
I'd never seen anything like that. Does out recover bucks every month. I'll be doing.
Oh yeah, I love tracking does because we have Callie and I. She's basically retired now, so Jasper's taking the reins, but Callie and I have such a high recovery odds with a doe. I don't know why. I guess does aren't as resilient as bucks. But if I looked at my personal recovery rates and filtered it for does, it's 2-to-1 versus bucks. But also we track most of our bucks as you get towards the rut. But the does we're tracking are in September and October. We hardly have any calls for does in November.
Do you have a late doe season out there?
No, you can shoot does the whole season.
What about like December, that December season or anything?
Yeah,
like that?
So the gun hunters can shoot. They have a late, have a December or Christmas or something. I know in Wisconsin.
Well, muzzleloader.
So then they have a youth.
It's going to depend on the state. I mean, most of our data is from a lot of.
I'm done tracking by the time December rolls around up here. I'm from the South, man. I can't handle these negative in December. Yeah. Plus, I'm thinking about turkey season.
Yeah, I know Wisconsin has a couple weird weekends in December where it's antlerless only that pop up. So I'm
thinking archery. I mean, just like most of my tracks are for archery because our gun season here in Minnesota is only like a 2-week period in November.
Yeah,
the rest season is archery, and so a lot of does and some bucks during September and October, and then almost exclusively bucks in November.
Yeah,
they're not shooting does at that point. They're passing them up because there's a buck maybe falling that doe.
Yep. I don't track a lot of does, but I track some.
I'd rather if I could track 10 tracks a day and they were all does, I'd take them every day. I mean, I don't care about recovering a 200-inch deer. I just want to find a deer, and those does don't make me walk 2 miles.
Right.
Well, I tell people that all the time. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's awesome to get your hands or I never touch the deer because it's not my deer. But you know what I mean. That 200-inch buck or that 170 is awesome. But it don't make a damn bit of difference whether it's a fawn or that 170 for the dog or us. It's the work. You know, and you're right.
Yeah, exactly. I had a guy offer me $1,000 to come down to Iowa and track a buck for him. I was like, dude, I don't care. I mean, if it was a doe, I'd still, I wouldn't accept his money because number one, I said I wouldn't charge you that to come down there. I said I'm just not available. I said you could have a doe. If I was available, I'd still come down there. But oh man, it's a huge buck. I said I don't care about the size of deer. If I'm available, I'm gonna help you out either way, whether it's a little buck or a doe. And we do it, like yourself. We enjoy doing it, and we also enjoy. Sometimes we become the hero. I mean, when you track for people to recover a deer that someone felt they lost would never find again, and they're in tears. I mean, that feels good.
That's pretty cool.
Oh man, there's no question about that. This is I love this, man. So September, 13%. More likely or improvement on doe recovery than bucks, and November, quite a jump there. Huh, way cool.
I can't see it from here. What's the doe recovery? 41% in November?
Yeah, 40, so November buck recovery is 28%, doe recovery is 41%.
I'd say it's about a 12 to 15 point.
But the does didn't improve or change much. It's just the bucks dropped so much, right?
Yeah, the does dropped.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean,
that's right.
It looked like I thought I saw 40% the month before in October.
So doe recovery in September is 50%, October is 45%, November is 41%, and December is 46%.
Those woods get contaminated. That's what the does.
But it's always like a 12 to 15 point difference between the bucks and the does per month, which is interesting. So they're kind of tracking the same. Yeah. If you would plot that out, they'd kind of have a similar.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yep.
And November is the lowest percentage of buck recovery.
Zombie bucks.
Zombie.
And it's worse. It's worse in the early part of November, according to the data. Because you look at it, it says, 28%. Well, in the last slide, we said early November was 26% for all deer. But that's because it's so heavily weighted early versus late. You jump to late November, the overall recovery popped back up to 37.
Yeah.
When we're talking, at least when I'm talking about zombie deer, I mean, I'm talking about the deer that, the ones that go farther than you would expect. Yeah, they're tough but to me, they're not the zombie deer. The zombie deer are the ones that survive that double lung shot. Those are the ones I can't get over. Like I'm still scratching my head at one of my tracks in one of my first couple of years of tracking. The fella actually watched a YouTube video and called the tracker that was on that YouTube video. He's down south in Missouri or something. He's like, you need to call somebody in Minnesota. I'm not coming up from Missouri. And so he ended up calling me, and I was like, man, you're like 2.5 hours away. I don't know if I can come there. But anyway, he talked me into coming down there, driving that far. To me, it sounded like a dead deer. He explained the shot. He's like, right here in the pocket. The deer ran out there and bedded down. And you can see the exit right here out of the pocket. And I'm like, oh, man, it sounds like a dumb bug. He said another buck came up and nudged it, and it ran off. Long story short, I get out there and we track. And the dog takes a line and goes to these woods and then loses it. And so then I restart and go through the whole thing. And finally, it's like, man, your deer is not out here. If it's dead, it's not in this area.
Yeah.
I think it was like a week or two later, he sends me a trail cam picture of the deer eating near a hay bale or something. And you can see the exit wound. And then he sends another picture like a few days later of it breeding a doe. You see the entry wound. And then like 6 days after that, he sends me a picture of it laying in the ditch dead. Got hit by a car. And I was like, oh man, perfect. He was bummed that his deer got killed by a car. Right. But I was like, perfect. Cut it open and see exactly what organs got hit. I mean, to me, it looked like double lung. He said, man, I'm not cutting that thing open. And I'm calling him 2.5 hours away. And I'm like, man, please open it up and cut it.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, and that's the kind of stuff that drives you absolutely batty. I mean, it's completely inexplicable. We always hear about one or two of those a year on somebody's posting something crazy during the season. That's just inexplicable. The reason you call matters. You got that one?
Yes. Yep. So with the second one on there is ran out of light. We were just talking about that with evenings.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
What's the figure on the right side? I see a percentage, and then there's another.
Just the quantity.
Oh, okay. So it looks like it's fairly low. Quantity.
Yeah. So most people are saying that they lost blood or they have no blood, and that's what 29%.
And I think we get back more accurate answers because right now it's a free text box, but it has like really light grade like suggestions like what reasons, and then I think some people are just copying what they see in the gray and repeating it. So we're going to take like the top answers that you see there and make it a drop down menu.
Oh, good. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, anytime.
Yeah.
And it'd be nice if we could randomize that for each request that the next person gets them in a different order so they don't just pick the first one.
Just get used to, thick cover terrain.
Or maybe there'd be multiple choice. They pick all of the apply. Ran out of light and thick terrain, That's why I would stop tracking at night if it's really thick and it's dark.
Yeah.
If it's a field at dark, I'm going to just walk the field.
Hunter's field reading checkouts.
This is what I was right. This is the same. Yeah, this is the one I was kind of talking to before. I think it was on the second or third slide. We're looking at the reaction versus where the hunter thinks they hit. And that just kind of at that point supports more of the mule kick versus ran hard, I guess, or based on where they hit. But overall, it looks like the ran hard is pretty flat. Hunched or dropped is incredibly low until you get to stomach for as far as hunched. So that aligns. You can look at it quite a few different ways, but it definitely when a deer hunches up and it's a stomach shot, I mean, we know that's what would make sense. Usually see them then right after walk off, but just an interesting stat.
So what do these percentages represent? Recoveries or hunter's account?
I think if we had these up.
It's just what this is. It has nothing to do with recovery.
It's not a recovery percentage.
Okay.
It's just trying to correlate what the reaction was with what the hunters thought they hit.
Yep.
So if the deer hunched up, was it a stomach hit or do they match up to what we feel is like a deer on a heart shot mule kicks? A deer that shot the stomach hunches up or in the liver.
Yeah. So
to make this one a lot more powerful is when that 3D deer gets implemented, and then the trackers will be able to put in the post shot. This is the actual entry exit.
So in other words, don't read too much into this chart.
Yeah, you can't really read too much into it. But the top where you see like mule kick and hunched and that's all free text. That they're putting in there, and that's how it was classified. The suspected hit was a drop down, but again, we won't have to worry about that with a 3D deer.
Yep.
It's going to just tell you.
Populate. Yeah.
I will say this. You remember before we went live where I said we didn't get all the data that we wanted? Like when the tracker does the follow up and they mark which organs were hit. If we had that before the show, Gary could have pulled that and say, hey, what was the hunter's description of the reaction versus what the deer was actually hit? Then we could get a better correlation.
So we do have that. It just wasn't in our last data export, so we'll have to get that input.
You'll have to have us on again.
To be continued.
Shane, I'm already thinking about it, and before we wrap up, I want to talk about it because I have some thoughts on that. Hunters double their wait time on gut hits. What is this?
Yeah, that's the one I was telling you earlier, where they'll wait an hour for a lung hit, and then they'll wait 2 hours for a gut hit. They doubled it.
Right. Only double. Yeah, I got you.
12. What's the 12 call?
Yeah. But it does suggest that it goes back to the paradox of a liver or stomach shot, as the hunter knows to wait. Is that because now, is the recovery higher because they waited and didn't jump on it right away?
Man, but you know what? I think this is good because it further, illustrates and underscores what we're saying. Then you go back and match that up with some of the recovery percentage we talked about earlier. Stomach and liver hit deer, we're only waiting 120 minutes. I mean, guys, we've got to do better than that, hunters.
Yep.
And I know you think you got a good shot, so I'm not being critical, but I mean, this is data.
The biggest thing I see from hunters is they know that a gut shot requires a little more time, but it seems to be across the board that most hunters think a liver shot is just as fatal as a lung shot or something. Because I see it so many times on social media, and I'm like, oh, I think I hit him in the lungs. Well, get out there and track him. He's dead. I'm like, no. That thing could be alive for 12 hours or more.
31 hours when my buddy Glenn. But yeah.
We just got to continue educating these hunters. Obviously, the point's getting across a little bit because that average for gut has gone up. And that's, you got some people tracking immediately, but then you got some guys waiting 6 or 8 hours. I don't think a lot of them are waiting 12 hours unless they call a tracker and we tell them we're going to wait 12 hours.
Well, yeah, and when you practice with those 3D targets and that removable insert, the liver's a part of that. And, and so when people see that, it's not far, it's more dead center on the animal. They figure, well, that's definitely in the boiler room at that point. So, yeah, if you think you're back a little bit far, you're just wait.
But we've all seen, I've seen my daughter shot a deer and hit it in the liver with her bow, and that thing didn't make it 30 seconds, but it was sprayed. But she hit one of those.
Well, it probably hit the hepatic artery.
Yeah, well, it hit those big tunnels inside the liver or whatever they are. That liver.
Yeah,
I guess if that's the artery, it goes through the liver.
Yeah, there's a hepatic artery and a hepatic vein, and a great big giant.
And I shot one in the liver, and it lived 15 minutes. I had to watch it, suffer for a little bit there. I couldn't get another shot into it.
That's what I tell everybody. Not all liver hits are created equal. Yeah. If you hit a lobe, you could be 30 hours. If you hit that big hepatic artery, you could watch it fall.
The one that jumped up and that Callie and I tracked, it was in the snow. A little spotty snow, and it jumped up and scooped Callie up in its antlers.
Oh yeah,
that was 16 hours after it shot. It was shot in the liver.
Yeah. My buddy come across one 31 hours, bedded with a doe.
Yep.
So that's another thing too, with knowing what side that animal was hit, so you can rotate that with that 3D deer, and we can see.
There's so many benefits to that 3D.
Yeah, I mean the liver is a big one. Knowing what side it was hit on, and being able to capture that.
Yeah, instead of the data just saying lung hits and liver hits, the 3D deer is going to produce the back of the lung, the different the three lobes.
It all matters. And I'm telling you what, guys, I get so excited about this stuff, and I might be a little, what I say at work, stratospheric dreamland type stuff. But once you get, and what I mean by this is, once you get that 3D deer, that's going to immediately enhance your data, right? It's going to take a while, a couple seasons, whatever, for it to really start to accumulate and get a sample size that can really start to tell a story. But my God, once you start to get this stuff, and this other data is going to continue to accumulate that you're capturing now, you could put together one hell of a good hunter-facing presentation that would really illustrate why this stuff is important and how you. Then it's just a matter of how do you get this out to hunters? Because who follows TRAKR's Facebook pages? Other trackers. Other trackers. Yeah. How do we get the information out to hunters? In the way you do it, I don't know, but I'm thinking, going to these sports shows in doing presentations on it and getting in with your local hunt clubs and getting these sportsmen's clubs to have you in and talking to their hunters and because there is such valuable information here, and the way is particularly 5 years from now, once you guys have that 3D deer, you're going to have something you could really do something with.
Well, we're going to get more data too. One of the things we didn't mention in the updates, one of the things that's updated is on the request part of it. You know, you have that automatic proof of life.
Yeah.
And the biggest complaint we get from hunters when they look at it every time we post data, it's like, oh, that's for hunters that needed tracking dogs, or how do you know that's where they hit the deer if you didn't recover it? Well, we're adding a feature where you can upload the proof of life into that request, like the trail cam picture, or you got video of the deer. Mm-hmm. And so then we'll be able to start marking where the actual entry and exit wounds were, confirming it with those photographs in the, you know, in your proof of life. So, I mean, that'll, you know, the hunters always say, well, how do you know that's where they actually hit it if you didn't recover it? Well, we have pictures now, and the, you know, you can apply that to that 3D deer model and
100%. Yeah, another data enhancer. And that's a fair question, though. How do you know?
Yeah,
fair question. Let me tell you.
We do know.
Yeah.
The deer that get shot later in the season, they're able to put hands on it and eyeballs on it and confirm those organs were hit.
Absolutely, yeah.
But that requires the hunter to do that when they do their proof of life.
And with today's technology, with just like Tacticam and having those, you know, just cameras on there, the amount of media that will be then brought in with those requests, we usually will get 1 or 2 pictures, and then every few requests come through, there'll be a video
of the actual shot.
Yeah, and that's again the lighted knock. Being able to track that on the video, you know, you can see it right on your phone then and see where you feel the, you know, placement was and if it aligns with what the hunter put in. So there's a lot of different check and balances as well.
But I mean, we also have the manual submissions in there. Hunters can go in there and submit tracks where they never needed a dog.
Yeah.
I mean, you could hunters out there, you know, if we had a million hunters out there go submit one deer they shot this year into the app, we got a million tracks where, you know, broadheads and calibers where the deer.
It's actually, it's nice too having it on there. You can go on the app and you can just kind of like go through all of the deer. You know, I think I uploaded the last 20 or so that I put in there. But you can go back, see the exact hit placement, the date.
Yeah, you have your personal analytics for your own.
Yeah, and so you have something you can show, you know, and once we get that 3D deer in, that will be tied in then with all of those. And you can then, you know, have that as a conversation piece.
Yeah, we'll probably make it where you can go back and edit your previous entries and apply that 3D doe to it. Or deer.
Yep.
Not doe, but deer. There's a lot of stuff we want to do.
I mean, the sky's the limit.
Time and money is the biggest issue. I mean, like just getting this, you know, we got started early this year in April or May, or no, January. We started thinking
and I think we started March, and then you went on your turkey tour, and
it's
still making progress.
But, just for what we've done this summer, you know, it's taken all year. So each season, you know, updates come out, and you got discussions, and then you got changes because some update, you know, maybe we didn't think it through well enough. We need to make some changes back the other way.
Well, that's what you do, right? You launch something.
I guess I said all that to say that I wish that we could snap our fingers and have all those capabilities on the app and start getting it right away, but it just takes time.
No, it does take time, and you guys are doing some great work. It's just and it's only getting better. I mean, you guys have outlined some really cool stuff. Let's see, what do we got here? Soft tissue pass through.
This is pretty. Seems pretty obvious to me.
Yeah, onto your heart.
Yeah, is that it?
Yeah. Okay, there we go. Pretty good data set there. I mean, there's thousands of tracks.
Yeah. Yeah, so that aligns with you know, what we would expect.
Yeah, and then again, people watching this, don't focus on the exact number. Focus on the curves of the numbers.
The trend, yeah.
You look at like soft tissue and heart, you get ribs and leg bones getting away.
Yep. Cool. Do hunters know where they hit? Do they?
I haven't seen this chart.
Yeah. Yeah, where did I have that? So this is kind of what I was saying before, that they think they might say they hit it in the heart or the lungs, but and when looking at the blood trail, there might only be 2% of all of those where they think they hit it in the heart, the lungs, or a combination of it, that had any type of stomach matter, foul smell, or anything with it. So they're right. Most of the time, they didn't maybe hit the exact organ they thought, but it was in the vitals area.
Yeah.
And then if they thought they hit it in the stomach or just the guts, over 54% of those tracks had some proof of, blood visibility of stomach matter or foul smell, and then 35% just don't know. So they don't know where they hit.
What's the 2% represent?
I think that was the amount of tracks that.
Matt can read it. What's that say, Matt?
It says 2% of vitals only claims show gut evidence in the blood side.
Oh, okay.
So,
I got you.
Yep. So
but that could have been a vital like quartering too.
It could have been.
Exing it out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yep.
So it aligns with where it should be.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think what it has highlighted there is hunters are honest more than they're wrong. So, I swear it's a good hit, but no, they usually are. And if they don't, and that's the point, 35%. If they don't know, they just
they don't lie.
They're gonna say, I have no clue. I don't know.
Yeah, I get that. And we would all prefer that, hunters. If you're a hunter listening and you don't know or not sure, just say that.
Yeah. Yep.
Just say that. Man. Oops. What do we gotta do here? Maybe that's it. I think that's it. I'll tell you what, guys. This is. Here we go again. Let me stop sharing. Let me remove
you should
it.
share that video.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me see if I got it.
So I want to give people some context here. This is when you have a state network or a state of trackers that really embrace the app, and like the hunters up here do too. They absolutely love it up here. It's so easy for them. That's what they mentioned to us. And they promote it all over. If someone asks for a tracker in Minnesota on a hunting page, most of the replies are either go to Minnesota Tracking Dogs or use the TRAKR app.
Yeah, Shane, I didn't receive that video. Did it send?
Yeah, it sent. Oh, I'll tell you what. Here, do you want it on your phone or your email? Email
would be great if you don't mind.
Okay. I was using WeTransfer and I forgot to send you the link because we went live on the show earlier.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're keeping people waiting. We can't do that. I'm like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we'll look at that video. Then we'll grab some questions or some comments.
Yeah.
In fact, let's do that while I wait for it to pop in here. Let's see. Speak louder. Got it. Hey.
Don't tell me they couldn't hear us the whole show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on a minute. Let me.
We weren't live actually.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I forgot to hit. I forgot. Hold on. I agree. Open.
First time? Matt didn't hear me.
What's that?
Was it first time?
Yeah. Here we go. So let me just a second. Let me come back on and share a different screen now. And
what are you sharing? That video?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the number of tracking requests that came into the state of Minnesota and surrounding states right there in order from September till the end of December.
That heat map?
Yeah, it's a heat map of all the requests. And it's not to emphasize how many requests come. The number of requests coming in are coming in no matter whether the app's there or not.
Mm-hmm.
This is just allows you to see that the hunters were really using it, and we're able to get a lot of tracking requests.
So just the way this is, I can't see what is it displaying?
Yeah, hit the play button.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, so you can see that. There we go. You can see that September. I should have put the month on there, and it goes in October, and then you see it blow up right there in November. Boom. That's the rut right there where it blew up.
Good.
You see the core. Minnesota, 65% of the population is right there in that central Minnesota area.
Right.
So that's why you see,
So let's just back up. So for people following along,
400,000 gun hunters hit the woods all at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, same way with Michigan. But here we are. Let's just watch it blow up.
Right there where it does. Bam! Right there's the gun season. And you see Iowa jumps up too.
Yeah. Huh.
But we started here in Minnesota, and Minnesota's been embraced it from the get-go and been pushing it. So the hunters up here are very familiar with that at this point.
And I think is between then Wisconsin, Minnesota, then Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan.
Pennsylvania has a similar video like that. Where it just,
do they?
Yeah.
It's probably down south where there's not getting as many requests in, and I would love to get more requests coming in from down south so we can get some data from southern areas.
Yeah.
Just a comparison.
Well, we had
small deer versus
Georgia,
deer.
South and North Carolina.
South Carolina
picked up a lot last year.
Yeah. I'm thinking like Louisiana and Texas and Mississippi, getting some of those deep south areas. But everybody down there knows a tracking. Everybody knows
have one, yeah.
So the hunters already know somebody to call.
Yeah. Well, let's grab a couple of these comments, and I think this one you do have. Mike says the distance the hunter track should be put into the odds of recovery. You did have that data, right?
Yeah, I thought so.
What was that?
The distance the hunter tracked.
Yes.
The farther they go, the odds of recovery went down. So
it dropped 50%.
When you hit about that 200 yard mark, that's I used to tell people 300, but now the data's saying 200 kind of threshold, or maybe like you're saying 150 yards.
Yeah, that's just what I recommend.
Yeah.
The 150 rule. So that question may have come in before we got there.
Yeah. So to answer his question, at 200 yards is the threshold where recovery odds start going down because they've bumped the deer and pushed it to the next county or next property you can't track on, or whatever the reason is.
Yeah. So back, funniest new crossbow hunter call that I ever took. He calls me out of breath, and I can hear that he's moving briskly through the woods. I had to yell at him to make him stop. I asked, "How much time did you give him?" His reply, "I gave him 18 minutes." That's not enough if you didn't see him fall.
18 minutes, man! I can't even get out of my tree stand and get my gear together.
There's been times I haven't. I've learned over the years.
Yeah.
So Jared McKinney, I had a 90-yard crossbow call a couple years ago in Kentucky. I would tell you this: I had, I think, three plus 60 crossbow calls last year. Didn't recover any of them, and I was on a track. It was I think it was a vertical bow, but this buddy was talking about how he shot and recovered a hell of a buck at 100 yards with his crossbow. I'm like, look, man, do me a favor. I says, do not tell people that, because that's going to inspire them to go out and take them 100-yard shots.
It's not as cool as you think it sounds.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Just say you shot it.
Yeah, exactly. Back again, and this is so true. The hit is always C7 or 8.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. Let's see. Kelly Ball, for off-lead trackers in states where it's legal, it is much easier to slip up on a deer in a bay at night than in daylight.
I agree with that 100%. We walk up on so many deer on lead at night.
Yeah.
They just sit there.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, I can visibly see that they're hurt, and I'll just drop again and slip out of it and I'll tell the hunter, go there in the morning. That's where your deer's going to be, and that's usually the case.
Yeah. Yep.
Those deer hold tight at dark. Well, it's just like even if they're not shot at. I've walked up on deer coming out of the woods.
Yeah.
They feel safe in the dark.
Kelly Ball, and here's an interesting point. I guess it depends on what season is during the rut, but hunters shooting at running, moving deer don't help the rut recovery. That's an interesting thought that, I don't know if I've really thought about. What's happening during the rut, particularly the chase phase. The deer never stop. You're always like this. How many people are getting too anxious and
that's probably why doe recoveries are higher too. I hear people say this all the time with a doe, and it's true. With a doe, I'm not shaking nearly as bad as I am with a big buck. I'm shaking on both, but I'm like hyperventilating when there's a good buck.
I mean, that's why we do it, right? I mean, it's good. We get a thrill. We like the nice shot. We like the venison.
So that's probably why there's more calls for bucks than does.
Doe loves to stop and call you out too, usually. So
yeah. Beck's got contributing heavily today. Archery hunters in general that hunt from the ground, regardless of the type of bow, have a tendency to hit high. They just don't aim low enough.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Every ground shot deer I've track's been hit high.
Yeah, I mean,
it's still in the vitals, but top 2/3 or top third.
Top third, yeah.
Yep.
At least above the halfway.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, look, man, we're
instead of tall grass. You tend to aim above that.
Yeah, you're gonna. Yep.
Yeah. So we're at 2 hours. We covered a lot of stuff. So here's what I'm thinking, guys. So I'm going to put you on the spot, and I don't feel bad about it. I would like to have you back once those updates go hot. If it is at the end of August, at some point, around October again, we'll probably call it the season on the for the lines.
Ryan and I will be together the first first couple weeks after the update comes out. We'll be traveling and hunting. So if that works out, then we'll just stay in touch, and then we can just
let's stay in touch, because I would love it if we could show some of that 3D modeling and stuff that you're talking about. I'm really stoked about that, and I think it'd be neat to have you back on and talk about the launch and do a little demo of it best we can. We can whatever we need to do.
Yeah, and Garrett deserves a lot of credit for that.
He's
done a lot of work on it, and it's just going to get better from what he tells us. I mean, he's able to adjust the spinal column so it gets that little dip in the shoulder area, so that that's where people always say, "Oh, hit it below the spine, above the lungs." No,
no man's land.
You hit it above the spine, and the original model he got had the spine just kind of going straight across, and we're like, "No, we got to fix that."
I'm kind of an anatomy snob. And I don't know why. I don't mean to be, or maybe I do. I'm just funny about deer anatomy models. If it's not accurate,
we got it a pre-made one, right? But that
was a starting point.
But he's knowledgeable in the 3D side of things, and he's able to fix that. And and remove stuff. Like we removed the veins because they all followed the arteries. And the reason we removed them is because you can tell why the complexity or something in the size of it.
Yeah, made the model smaller, but also didn't really add a lot of value.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
The veins followed everywhere the arteries went, and so it just cluttered up, and it made the files bigger, and it made more complexity that, like I said, didn't add any value really.
Yeah.
But all the important stuff is in there. The liver sits over. That's the first thing I looked at. Because I looked at Ryan Kirby, he has those drawings, and I'm like, he has the liver going all the way across the deer, one side to the other, and I'm like, oh, that ain't right. And so the first thing I did was look at his model, and that liver's like just
it's just shoved over to the right side like it's supposed to be.
The amount of penetration till it hits that organ too is called out, so it'll be like 7 inches to the right lung or something like that. It's calling out, so it's just got a lot of detail into it.
Yeah, see, I just love that. I think that could be probably one of the most single useful features of that app. I mean, in terms of training and teaching, I think there's so much you'll be able to do with that. Mm-hmm. And man, when that data starts to accumulate, boy, you could build one hell of a hunter-facing presentation.
And you don't have to actually get a request on the app to help the data. If you take a track, you can manually submit it. It will ask you all the same questions that an organic request came in. It's going to ask you, where was it shot? What was the weapon? And you can put in what you know and skip the ones you don't. But every little bit helps us build fill the puzzle pieces in.
Absolutely. Well, I tell you what, guys, I appreciate you coming on, man. We'll hang with me.
It's been great.
Oh, absolutely. I'm anxious to have you guys back when you're ready. You just tell me when you're ready. I talk about the end of August or whenever you launch it. But if you're not ready to talk about it, then don't let me pressure you into it. But I sure would like to have you guys back, and when we can really talk about that modeling and stuff. And it doesn't have to be a 2-hour show, but I just think that could be such a valuable tool. I think it's worth highlighting again.
Yeah. If you have more comments or anything that come through specifically on the metrics they'd like to see, you can relay that over, and we can work on providing some of those maybe for the follow-up.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's put it out there. So many people will watch this back later, and with the nice weather outside being daylight so late now, we don't get a lot of live followers. In February we'll have 40-45 people following, but they do go back and watch it later. So
and all those documents or whatever the graphs we had on there. I said at the beginning of the show I'll put them on there after the show. I can't promise that. I still got to drive home. So we'll get them on there at some point on our Facebook page and stuff, tomorrow morning or something.
Drop me a note when you do, Shane, and I'll share it from the ABTA page.
Yeah.
I'll share your posts.
Yeah, I always worry about sharing things like that without the full context is not there. But it's interesting for us to look at it. I mean, even when I look at it the first time, I'm like, well, this doesn't make sense. So you're going to have people that are going to look at it and say, oh, this is stupid. This doesn't make sense. But then other people are going to look, oh, this is very interesting. This is very useful. But we showed it here on the show, so I'm going to at least put it on there and then.
We can qualify it, So some of it will, be thought provoking. The 60 minutes and 120 minutes. That's got to be shown. That's got to be highlighted, man, because that is something that people can actually take away from. It's actionable information for hunters. A lot of those statistics and things are awesome and they're neat, but I don't know, a hunter may not be able to necessarily apply them. That one, a hunter can absolutely apply that and make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
So, great stuff, guys. Well, look, man, I appreciate it. We'll stay in touch. Hang with me as I shut off here. We'll debrief. But, guys, keep the comments coming. If there's a particular data that you would like to see, drop it in the comments or shoot me or Shane a note. And
yeah, one of us keep tabs on the feed after it goes, post
the comments.
We'll keep tabs on that, and every once in a while we'll, at least for the next few days, and then we'll pop in and give replies.
Yeah.
Or you can send a direct message to any of us.
Yeah, absolutely. But get your questions out there or inquiries, guys. So, hey, I appreciate it. Until next time, guys, more the good, less the bad. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thanks for having us on. Take care.